Hey, you guys, welcome back to Living with Fibro and PSA, Felicia and Frankie's Way. We are on episode 28, Autoimmune, the Invisible Battle. If you guys are new here, welcome. I am so happy that you found us. Before we jump in, I do want to do something a little different just for today. Normally around here, I call fibromyalgia Felicia and psoriaticarthritis Frankie. And POTS, well, that's Tizzy, because sometimes you just have to give chaos a name so it doesn't make it feel like it owns you. But today's episode is a little more of a straight talk, learn together kind of conversation. So I will not be referring to them by their nicknames today, just today. Not because they're gone, because I could never get that lucky, but no, they're still clocked in, trust me. But today I want to break things down a little more in an informative way. And most weeks I give their nicknames because humor, it helps me cope. It helps me get my power back, if you will. You know what I mean? But today we're talking about them by their full names because sometimes we need clarity as much as we need creativity. So, with that being said, let's get started. How are you guys doing this week? Seriously, I hope that you guys have gotten some rest and I hope that you guys have had some comfort this week. I hope that your pain levels have been behaving themselves because really, let's be honest. Sometimes the smallest win is just making it through the day without your body staging a full-on rebellion. And around here, we totally celebrate those wins. This week, I've had a lot on my mind. I've been thinking about fibromyalgia and how misunderstood it really is. There are so many different misconceptions about how fibro works, what it is, what it isn't, and how it affects the body, how it actually affects it. Sometimes people hear the word and they just fill in the blanks themselves, and we definitely know that that's usually not an accurate representation. So I wanted to kind of clear up a few things today because people tend to lump a lot of these conditions together like they're interchangeable, and they're not. They may fall under similar umbrellas, but they all behave differently. They show up differently and they impact our lives daily in their own unique ways. And I also kind of want to briefly touch up on a few other autoimmune issues, not in like super deep medical breakdown kind of way, but just enough to kind of help paint the bigger picture because autoimmune conditions are complex and they don't fit in those neat little boxes. Sometimes they overlap. They mimic one another and it's confusing even for the people that are living with them. So, let's get into it. But before we get too deep into this, I do want to say this clearly. I am not a doctor, nurse, or a healthcare provider of any kind. I am simply a woman traveling this road and living with fibromyalgia, psoriatic arthritis, and POTS. Felicia, Frankie, and Dizzy. I'm sharing my personal experiences with you guys. Everything that I do talk about in these videos is based on my own journey, my own research, and conversations that I've had with my own doctors or other healthcare providers. It's not medical advice. It's not a diagnosis. It's not treatment guidance by any means. If you're dealing with symptoms, concerns, or questions about your own health, please talk to your own healthcare provider because everybody is different and every case is different. What works for one may not work for another. I'm just here sharing my lived experiences and hopefully I'm helping someone feel less confused and maybe less alone. All right, what is autoimmune and why does it matter? So, an autoimmune disease happens when your immune system, which is supposed to protect you, mistakenly attacks your own healthy cells. So, instead of fighting viruses and bacteria, it fights your body. That attack causes inflammation, and that inflammation causes damage. And depending on where that damage happens, you get different diseases. That's why it matters. It's not just inflammation, it is your defense system misfiring. Your immune system is not optional. It is your body's defense system. It protects you from bacteria and viruses and fungi and toxins and things that we're exposed to every single day of our lives. Without an immune system, your body becomes defenseless. And even a normally harmless microbe, a little minute germ, can cause severe reoccurring infections. Those infections can spread quickly, and they can lead to organ damage and sepsis, septic shock, and death. Your immune system also helps detect and destroys abnormal cells, including potential cancer cells. So without it, cancer risk does increase significantly. And even if someone survives infections, healing becomes super slow. Wounds don't close properly, illnesses become chronic, and inflammation becomes consistent. So, having no immune system, it's dangerous, extremely dangerous. And it is vital for survival in a world full of pathogens. So, unless you're living in a completely sterile little bubble, which none of us are, you might need it. So, why are you suppressing yours? And that's where you would say something like, in an autoimmune disease, the problem isn't having an immune system. The problem is having one that's overactive and misfiring. It's in that constant fight or flight response. It's constantly misfiring and wholly miscommunicating. So treatment isn't about eliminating it. It's about calming it down so it stops attacking the body. The scope of it, there are over 100 known autoimmune diseases. 100. Can you all imagine? Jeez. And they all affect all sorts of the parts of the body. Joints, organs, skin, glands, blood, the nervous system. Now listen, instead of me sitting here and trying to browbeat you with 1,000 different, millions of different autoimmune diseases and names that I will for sure botch, because I'm probably going to have some that I'm still going to botch. And I don't want to overwhelm y'all in the first 5 minutes, because nobody needs that kind of chaos. I mean, really, I don't. You don't. I want to point you to a really good resource that I did kind of run across while I was doing this research. There is a website. It is called A2Z Autoimmune Disease, and it's a list. And I'm going to list all my sites below so you guys will have access to those. But if there's something you're curious about, something you've heard, or it was made mention, or, maybe something your doctor tossed out at you and kind of left you blinking like, what? Wait a minute, what? You can go back and look that up at your own pace. No pressure, no overload, just solid information when you're ready for it. Sometimes learning works better when you're not drinking from a fire hose. You know what I mean? So for today, I'm going to break those down by systems, starting with the autoimmune disease that affects the joints. And then we're going to move through the rest so you all can get the bigger picture without feeling buried under a gigantic list. Joints. All right, let's start with the joints. This is probably one of the most talked about areas when it comes to autoimmune disease, because it's where people really start feeling it. The immune system mistakenly attacks your joint linings, your cartilage, or connective tissues, and that's what causes the inflammation, swelling, stiffness, and pain. Some of the most common autoimmune diseases that affect the joints are rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and scleroderma. Now, these are very different. Even though they hit the joints, RA attacks the lining of the joint. Psoriatic arthritis is tied to skin issues as well as the joints, and scleroderma actually affects the connective tissue more broadly. Now, why does this matter, you say? Well, chronic inflammation can slowly damage your joints, changing the shapes and making movement painful or limited even. And that's why early detection and treatment are so important to protect the mobility and the quality of life. And yeah, sometimes it can be progressive, which is super scary if it's left unchecked. But there are treatments that can help calm the immune system down. But I also kind of wanted to go through, because rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis are similar in so many ways, but rheumatoid attacks the joint lining. So psoriatic arthritis attacks joints and tendons at the attachment points. Rheumatoid, there are no skin diseases. Psoriatic arthritis usually has psoriasis. So rheumatoid can do the classic joint deformities over time, and psoriatic arthritis can affect fingers, toes in like sausage forms. Rheumatoid does not affect the spine, and psoriatic arthritis spine involvement is definitely involved. Yeah, let me tell you, it definitely for sure is. So we'll move on to the next is skin. Now, we often think of skin issues as just cosmetic, but autoimmune skin conditions are much deeper than that. Get it? Your immune system overreacts, targeting the skin and causing symptoms that are very visible, but also painful. Some common examples are obviously psoriasis and scleroderma. Psoriasis speeds up the skin cell turnover, causing patches that can be itchy, inflamed, or even painful. And scleroderma can obviously harden and tighten the skin, which can affect movement and flexibility. Now, why is that dangerous? Well, skin isn't just there for looks. It protects us. When it's inflamed or compromised, you're at a higher risk for infections, plus the chronic pain and limitations that can impact your daily life in ways people don't even realize. Organs. Okay, now let's talk about these. Autoimmune disease that attack the organs can be very serious because they don't just hurt. They can cause long-term damage if left untreated. Now, this can be lupus, which can hit your kidneys, skin, joints, and even your brain. Then you got Crohn's disease in there, and ulcerative colitis, which affects your digestive system and can lead to chronic inflammation and malnourishment. Why is that dangerous? Well, organ damage can be permanent if inflammation isn't managed. These diseases can also make you more vulnerable to infections because the immune system is so busy misfiring, and in some cases, complications can be life-threatening. It is serious stuff, y'all. My mom died. She had Crohn's disease. She had issues, and yeah, it's a horrible, horrible thing to have. Your glands. Next, we have glands. Autoimmune diseases that target glands mess with hormones and fluid balance, which sounds subtle until your whole body starts reacting. So some common ones are the Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Graves' disease, and Sjogren's syndrome. Yeah, here we go, guys. Hashimoto's can slow down your thyroid. Graves can speed it up, and Sjogren's attacks moisture-producing glands, giving you like dry eyes and dry mouth. Now, why is that dangerous? Well, hormones regulate everything: energy, metabolism, mood, digestion. So when they're off, your whole system struggles, and the dryness from the Sjogren's can lead to infections in the eyes and mouth. So it's not just uncomfortable, it has some serious real health consequences. Now, let's talk about blood, because blood-related autoimmune conditions mess with your body's circulation and immune balance. Some examples of those are type 1 diabetes, because it destroys insulin-producing cells in the pancreas, which directly affects your blood sugar. Some autoimmune disorders also affect the blood's ability to respond properly to threats or inflammation. And those kinds of conditions, like alopecia, are a systemic in nature, even though they show externally. Now, why is that dangerous? So, blood is your transportation system. If it's compromised, it affects all your organs, your energy, your healing, and your ability to fight infections. Chronic inflammation can also become a problem, making recovery from even the smallest illnesses hard. Finally, the nervous system. Autoimmune diseases here target your nerves, which control everything in your body. Lots of those examples are multiple sclerosis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, and Meniere's disease. MS damages the protective sheath around the nerves, and the Guillain-Barré, affects the nerve signals and can cause weakness, and Menard's affects balance and hearing. Now, why is that dangerous? Nerve damage can affect movement, sensation, balance, and even vital functions. Chronic inflammation here can be permanent and severely affect your quality of life, because these conditions can make the body more vulnerable to other illnesses, and your nervous system is essential for communication and control in your body. What fibromyalgia feels like. Chronic widespread pain. Sorry, guys. Deep aching, which often leaves where the muscles attached to the bone, like your neck, shoulders, back, hips, arms, and legs. And the pain it's a deep skeletal pain. It's not superficial. It doesn't damage bones or joints, but it hurts like the world's crushing in on you. Your tender points are symmetrical, painful on touch. Fibro fog, brain slows down, memory and focus is totally affected. And fatigue it's intense. Non-restorative sleep, insomnia is common. Let me tell you. Now, look, this isn't just a little stiffness. It's real deep bone pain that you just can't shake off. And sometimes even touching somebody or bumping into them sends shock waves of pain. My husband just tapped my arm, and and he's like, I just barely touched you. I know, but that's exactly what it is. It's intense pain, though. Now, fibro complication and related conditions. Many with fibro also have rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, or osteoporosis. Osteoporosis often affects spinal columns, hips, back, neck, and contributes to pain and fatigue, and just being fragile. Sleep disturbances, non-restorative sleep, waking frequently due to the pain, and restless muscles, tingling, cramping, bladder, pelvic issues. Now, fibro it's very rarely ever alone, and it always usually comes with a buddy. Other autoimmune or bone issues, which just amplifies the chaos, and they work together, let me tell you. And trying to sleep with those, you might as well forget it. If you're in a flare-up, your body is too busy hurting to let you even think about resting. That's just not even going to be an option for you. Now, ways that we can manage fibro is exercise, general movements, walking, biking, swimming. Water relieves pressure on the joints and spine. It's phenomenal. Highly recommend the water, but the problem is you have to come out of that water eventually. And as soon as you do, it feels like somebody's thrown a bag of concrete and you're just stiff immediately. You got stress management, meditation, yoga, deep breathing. Yoga, I highly recommend it. And meditation to go with is wonderful. Deep breathing, I do that throughout the whole day. That's not just in the moment, kind of when you're doing the yoga. I mean, the deep breathing I do all day long. So that's amazing. It does help. I need to get back into my yoga more, but heat therapy for the muscles, ice for me it always hurt worse. So some people swear by the ice. I do not want anything to do with ice. So heat therapy for muscles usually is a big thing. And usually they'll give you medications like gabapentin, Lyrica, antidepressants. And there are so many new options. Like there's a new one. It's a sublingual. It's called Tonmide. You guys know I'm butchering these. Tonmyde. And it was FDA approved in 2025. So I'm not really sure a whole lot about it. It's supposed to be like a muscle relaxant used for muscle spasms caused by sprains, strains, and, it includes like the back pain, neck pain. And it's, used for skeletal muscle conditions like pain and injuries. So it's often used for fibro to help reduce the pain, to help improve sleeping, and to relieve some of that fatigue. So anyway, I don't know much about it. It just popped up on my list. I thought I'd mention it to y'all. I'm thinking about saying something to my doctor about just trying it to see if it helps. But yeah, swimming is my absolute favorite out of all of this. It makes you weightless, it's free, and it melts that pain away immediately for a little while. But like I said, as soon as you get back out, boom, back to reality. And yeah, it's hard. And also, I do want to say that any new medication that your doctor may give you is going to have to take a solid good 3 months. You got to give your body time to get that into your, if your pain's way up high and that medicine's just kicking in, it's going to take time for it to build and work. So usually a good 3 months is what I would say before you'll know if something's working or not working for you. Now, fibro self-advocacy, medication focus, keep this specific to your treatments. You know what I mean? Like advocate for yourself with your fibro symptoms. Give medications, like I said, a 3-month trial before judging its effectiveness. Track your symptoms. Track your triggers and your progresses. I would recommend like a little journal or something to kind of keep track of these. Some days you might realize that, hey, this Coke, the sugar that I had in this Coke is what triggered it. Or, hey, it might be, I don't know. I'm just totally throwing things right now. But, just track those so that way. Because sometimes, like, tomatoes are a big thing for me. Like, they mess with me. So I have noticed that when I track mine, if I eat anything like a tomato product, whether it be paste or ketchup or, pizza sauce or whatever, it does kind of give me a flare up. So I have to watch those and stand firm if something's not working, because you're going to know, this is, your experiences. Speak about your medications and, how your body's responding or not responding, because your pain more than anybody does. And so, on that slide over here beside, we're talking about the medication list and stuff, ideas and stuff like that. That is a list from creakyjoints.org. Once I said, I'll have those all listed below. But it's all about the kinds of medications that are helpful with fibro. So just food for thoughts. I don't, Anyway. POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Now, let's talk about this for a minute. This was actually the first thing that clued me in that something was going on in my body. It is basically a problem with your amniotic nervous system. That system controls things like your heart rate, your blood pressure, and how your body reacts when you stand up. With POTS, when you move from lying down to standing up, your heart rate increases, it races, and sometimes it's way too fast. You can feel dizzy, you can feel lightheaded, and you can even faint. Fatigue, brain fog, palpitations are common. For me, this was my wake-up call, even before I realized I had fibro and psoriaticarthritis. And POTS actually, seriously, because mine's flared up right now, and I am currently taking new medications, so hopefully that kicks in soon. But when you're sitting here and you're not doing anything and your heart spikes 125 and you can hear your heartbeat in your ears, there's something wrong. So it does seriously affect your daily life. It makes standing in line or walking across the room extremely risky. And, I just break out in a cold sweat. And it's about managing and listening to your body. Adjust your activities and sometimes use salt, hydration, compression stockings, and medications to help regulate your heart rate and blood pressure. They just put me on diltiazem, so hopefully we are three days on it. So we'll see. And for a lot of us, POTS is a part of a bigger autoimmune picture. It's often a clue that your body is struggling in other areas. So it's important to pay attention, track your symptoms, and work with a knowledgeable doctor. Basically, POTS has taught me to start paying attention to my body before it got worse. And that's why it's such a key part of my story. Advocating for yourself and managing your health. I mean, we've covered a lot, you guys, but autoimmune diseases, fibro, POTS, and how all of these play together in real life. Let's talk about that. What you can do to take care of yourself and advocate for your own health. Know your body. You feel it before anybody else does. So if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut. Trust yourself. Work with the right doctor because not every doctor understands every condition. So find a doctor who will listen to you, who respects you, and who is willing to work with you. Medication awareness. Give your new medications a fair trial, usually 3 months, to see if it's going to work for you or not. And if they don't, speak up. Don't settle. And never let anyone make you feel like your symptoms aren't real. Your pain is valid. Your fatigue is valid. Your experiences are valid. So stand firm. And your lifestyle support, gentle exercises, stress management, proper sleep, hydration, heat, water, all of these will help you manage your symptoms. And remember, managing chronic illness isn't about perfection because we're never going to get there. We're never going to be pain-free. We're never going to be perfect again. It's about learning, adjusting, and taking care of yourself every single day because you're your own best advocate and nobody else can do that for you. All right, my friends, we have covered a lot today. I know. Autoimmune diseases, fibro, POTS, how to advocate for yourself. But before we go, I want to leave you with a little bit of encouragement for the week. My Bible verse for the week that's been speaking to me is Deuteronomy 31, 6-8. To be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for your Lord, your God, goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. And you know what? Sometimes we're strong. Sometimes we're brave. And sometimes we're just broken. And that's okay. Like this quote I just came across that says, she was brave and strong and broken all at once. Amen. I mean, how great is that? That is so true. That's life, y'all. Messy, chaotic, painful. Sometimes we still have to just work through it. But it's still beautiful. It's still worth showing up every single day. It's still worth laughing and loving and living. So if this episode gave you a little hope, a laugh, or just made you feel like you're not alone, go ahead. Like, subscribe, share. I dare you. If you're really brave, leave me a comment. Let me know your wins, your challenges, or even your, oh no, not again moments. Stay warm, stay strong, and remember, you've got this because God's got you too. So go sip on your tea, put your feet up, and let's keep living our messy, beautiful, chaotic lives together. I'll see you guys next week.